She's in a zone.
You're making local news. I got you, Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
Break time in about 10 minutes, guys.
You can agree with me on this.
He was doing his hair.
Y'all jamming up the line. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take that away. That scares me.
Each level, I think, like.
Behind you.
Oh, pretty good.
The way that his wife makes rice.
Are you taking video?
Yeah, I still remember her rice. Back in the day. Was that, no, that wasn't your mom. That was your mom. Was your mom?
Wow.
Bottom down. Yeah, we got sabotage.
You got sabotage?
Cynthia.
All right, we got it. There you go.
Thank you.
I think she is. Yeah.
Where's your slap?
Oh, put a thing at the bottom. Put a thing.
We got some boxes still.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
No, it's okay. How are you? Tell me if you need me to do something.
Great, this is perfect. Just do more making.
Okay.
Alright volunteers, so we are going to be taking that 15-minute break. So we're going to have you guys stop what you guys are doing. So for people doing sorting, there's some stop.
You ready to go, Thomas? You ready?
I'm ready when you're ready.
It is so nice. It's nice to reminisce with you about New York City too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's great to meet you. I want to talk about some general things and then we can get into specifics. But Feeding Tampa Bay,
Right.
tell me about this remarkable organization. What is it all about?
Well, I think, you know, you're asking maybe a pretty big question, but I would think first and foremost, our intent is to help our friends and neighbors. So when you talk about why we're here, it's to make sure that folks that don't have all the same resources that the rest of us do can put food on their table or have access to training, partnerships, other service opportunities that create better personal and household capability, right? So when you think about the life you and I live, right, we have wants, needs, concerns. We have the ability to manage all of those given the resources we have. The families that we serve don't have all the same opportunities or resources. So an organization like ours, at its truest intent, is we step in and try and make sure that the average human, the average family in our community can thrive, can live, can enjoy the same opportunities and possibilities that you and I enjoy.
And as I understand it, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, you focus on 10 Bay Area counties?
Yeah. So as an organization, we have two primary outcomes that we want. The first is health, which comes from good, nutritious food, which you see here today. The second is capability that comes from access to resources. We offer all of that across a 10-county area. So it's a pretty wide footprint. There are about 5 million folks, population in that footprint, and about 1 million folks on an annual basis need services from an organization like ours. And they're the folks that we focus on taking care of.
You, as I understand it, have been serving the Tampa Bay in one way or the other for over 4 decades?
Yeah, so food banking started when one gentleman in Phoenix, Arizona had the idea to create a food bank after a conversation with a mother that couldn't feed her children. This gentleman named John Van Hingel spent the rest of his life building food banks around the United States. We were one of the ones he started 42 years ago. And so we've been in our community serving nobly for many, many years. There's a count on our scoreboard when you leave. I think we've provided some 750 million meals over that 40+ years. And I think importantly, everybody understands how critical that meal is to each person when they sit down. You know, I think about your program, and one of the things we'd say, the hero of our story is our guests. Those are the real heroes of the work that we do. And so when we think about those meals that help folks navigate a difficult time in their lives, when they were able to put cereal on the table for a child off to school, or when they were able to create a healthy meal for their family at dinner time, those 750 million meals for us really helps us understand greater impact, but moment-to-moment impact.
I saw a video you did some time ago, and you had posed the question, do any of you have favorite foods?
Yeah.
And of course people say, oh yeah, I love pizza, I love this, I love cheeseburgers. And you pointed out that for a lot of people, they don't have that freedom to pick a favorite food because any food is so important.
Yeah, and I think we have the conversation with when we talk to the folks about our work, not everybody has ever been in a position where they experienced not having food on their table. But all of us are bound around food. We always say that everything good in life starts around a table. All the things we care about happen when you're at a table. right? So whether it's the first person you're dating and sitting down and having that first meal with them, whether it's a family recipe that's prepared and the family enjoys it at a particular holiday, all of us have important food memories. All of us, our culture, our families are built around food, right? These things matter to us as much as our health. They help us define who we are. And when a person doesn't have the ability to create that family recipe that's been passed down for generations because they can't afford the ingredients, they not only lose the opportunity to have a good, healthy, tasty meal, but they lose a bit of their heritage and legacy too. And that's really a concern to us. One of the reasons why you're in a supermarket here inside of a food bank is because we want people to be able to shop for the groceries that they need. Collecting the food that you want to bring into your household is just as important as preparing it, because it's a part of defining who we are as people. And one of the things we're really aware of is the importance of the dignity of that moment for folks that come into our care. We want to make sure that they walk out feeling like they can acquire food, prepare food, or in our restaurants, sit down and have a meal just like anybody else would.
The dignity, if not as important as the food, almost is as important.
So one of our board members that founded Trinity Cafe would tell you that his focus when he founded that was 51% dignity, 49% food. And we've tried to live into that model because when someone comes to an organization like ours, they've got a whole lot stacked against them. And part of our response to that, the first response is to be present in their humanity so that we can then help them navigate a difficult time and they walk out of our care feeling better for it as opposed to worse.
I'm sure there are some that would say, oh sure, they feed homeless people who have no money. But people who are food insecure fall into a whole bunch of different categories, do they not?
Yes, and I think if I could change one narrative in the work that I do, it would be for everyone to understand differently who accesses our services, because they're grandparents on a fixed income. How much has food prices risen in the last 3 years? Have any of those seniors that are retired seen an increase to their income? They've not. And so they are now, right? So it's grandparents that you know in your world. It's folks that you work next to every day that are struggling with household expenses. It's people that you have in your life that may be cutting your hair or fixing your car. Or in one instance, and I've shared this story before, I was serving in a restaurant style setting with a bunch of high schoolers, and one of their teachers came in to sit down and have a meal. This was really unsettling to the students. They were shocked by this. But think about that, the educators of our children, right? And anybody can look at salaries and see what we're talking about is true. So if I could change one narrative, I would remind everybody that we're not serving anybody that is a them. We're serving us, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, people we know and care about.
Tim and I were just talking on the way over here about a friend who has a good job, but with the cost of rent and the cost of everything else, it's at the end of the month.
Yes.
There's not a lot left over, and sometimes it's even worse than that. Your profession is one of the few, when I say how's business, I hope you will say bad, but unfortunately I'm guessing business is good?
Yes, it is, and business is getting more good, which is a greater concern. I think the gap that we see growing between what families have and what they need, it's growing, not shrinking. One of the reasons why we're building a new facility is we've got to answer a much bigger call. Fortunately, our community, I think, understands that and is supporting us well in that effort. The good news is that we can afford to build a bigger food bank. We can find ways to get more food and resources into the community. The challenge is, are we going to be able to keep up with the growing demands? We're always hopeful. Organizations like ours exist in the world of hope and faith, that every meal matters, that we're going to continue to be able to step into the needs and wants of our guests. And so we don't ever feel negative about it, but we certainly would register concern at the growing gap and challenges that families are facing. You know, we do a hunger supper every year where we sit folks down. It's an experiential dive into the moment of what it's like to be food insecure. And we ask a variety of questions during those sit-down meals, one of which is, if you're a parent, and Bill, I'd ask you this, you're a parent, right? If your child needs food or medicine, which do you choose?
It's a tough choice, but food, probably.
But it's a horrible choice.
No, it is.
And we would make the point that as a society and as a community, we don't want anybody, no matter who they are, to ever have to make that choice. We don't want a senior to choose, and we see this. If you toured our facility, you'll see we give out pet food. Why? Because what will seniors do? They'll feed their pets before they feed themselves. These aren't choices that any human, irrespective of where they live, what choices they've made, the things they've done, these are just not choices we think any human should have to make.
You can't make a choice this is neither here nor there, but it's just so nice speaking with you. I was talking the other day, when I was in the Navy, I was in the Philippines, and I brought a dog home from the Philippines. But then somebody said, yeah, they eat dog in the Philippines. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? If my child was hungry and I only had dog, not my dog, but dogs to feed, I would feed my child dog.
Well, and I think
you have to eat.
you do.
You have to eat.
And I think this speaks to a larger point that we would want to make. Please don't criticize the choices that someone made until you understand the options they had. And what we see, it's why I said to you before, the hero of our story are our guests and clients. If we put the conditions that many of our guests or clients struggle with on a person that had never been in that situation, they would collapse. We find the bravery and the strength, the fortitude, the creativity of our guests to be stunning to us. Their willingness to shoulder responsibilities that would buckle most of our knees always reminds us of the staggering strength of the human spirit. We don't see people in here that we think, why are you in a food bank? We see people here trying to figure out how to make some very difficult circumstances in their lives better.
Fair to say all these wonderful people we see out there, all these volunteers, you still, on a daily basis, will welcome anyone who would like to volunteer, and also anybody who might be able to help financially support. This is something that the answer is yes. All the
Yes,
time.
we're a community-based organization. What does that mean? We're funded by the community, and volunteers help us build our resources. And so we think that that's important because an organization like Feeding Tampa Bay should be representative of the community we serve. And so the folks that give us the gift of their time or the gift of their financial support are crucial to our work. We would say simply, we go as far as our community takes us, right?
Yeah. How long has Feeding Tampa Bay been in existence here at the Tampa Bay area?
We've been here for a little over 41 years, 1982.
Wow. And the new facility you're talking about, it's in the Spring Hill area?
No.
No?
No. So our new facility, I wanted to make sure I got your name right. So we're, as the, not fit for television, as the crow flies, we're about 3 miles from it. It is off Causeway Boulevard, which runs right along the port.
Oh, okay. And when is the estimated move-in date?
So the new facility will be a brand new community center, which will marry both our ability to get much more food into the community, but it'll also be a facility that provides resources beyond food. So a restaurant, a grocery store, but also a community services center where all of our partners can provide homeless services, healthcare services, training services. It'll have classrooms. We'll do job training. So the new facility is a much different vision. All things go as they are so far. We're pouring concrete this week. So we should be in a new facility in mid-February of next year.
I know you're on a time schedule.
I'm
but
just fine. I'm just fine.
Talk about the economic impact that this organization has on the entire community.
Yeah, so if you were to see some of our commercial elements that we're talking about today, we're trying to have a conversation with the community about why what we do is important to all of us. So I think if we make the case, which we feel strongly about, that our obligation as humans to help other humans, we would think that's critical. But I think it's also important for a community that invests in us to know that investment pays off. So one of the numbers that we would share is right now, our organization provides around $300 million in economic value every year. How do you get to that number? Because your viewer is going to say that's a big number, right? Just in food value alone, you're at $250 million. So think about all the food that we provide. If someone had to buy that, that's worth about $250 million across our 10 counties. But also all the other services that we offer add up to about $300 million a year. In the new facility, we're probably going to be just around $450 to $500 million. And we think that's crucial because we're an investment that if the community makes the investment, it pays off for the community. Because when folks have food and resources, they're more stable as a household. They're more likely to be reliable as a colleague. They're more likely to be capable as a student. We think these are all important things that everybody agrees about, right? We're not going to find anybody that says, well, that's a bad idea. Everybody's going to agree. And so the point we want to make is an investment in this work and in all of the folks that do this work are investments that pay off over the longer term to make Tampa Bay a better place.
You also have numbers really worth bragging about. The percentage of what you take in that goes back to the mission. What is that number?
Yeah, so we're probably close to 98%. And we work hard at that. I think, you know, we have a lot of folks that work here, but think about an organization like ours with 50,000+ volunteers a year. That's a labor force we don't have to pay for. They're all working hard, as you can see behind me, right?
Yeah. I was looking at your website, and pardon me for glancing down at my notes.
Yeah, you're fine.
You have something in quotes, and it's very profound, and it's just 5 simple words. Because food makes tomorrow possible.
Right.
You gotta love that. And it's
Yeah.
so true.
And I think it goes back to where we started this conversation. At the end of the day, we believe that fundamentally, that once you have a meal, you're able to, you know, and again, think about it this way. If you have a meal and you're a child and you sit down in a classroom, you can learn. If you have a meal and you're a senior, your retirement years are healthier and more vibrant. If you are a family that is able to sit down and have meals together, your life is typically much more stable. Food brings an awful lot of positive into a household and into a community.
Thomas, it is so nice to meet you
Yeah.
and speak with you. And we talked about an awful lot. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you were thinking and hoping on this visit we would talk about?
I think the only thing I always ask when we have these conversations, and I think you're going to do it, the great news about Bay News 9 is your reach and scope. If someone needs our services, if you could run away, you know, hey, if you need food, if you need help, go to our website kind of thing.
We will do that. As a matter
Thank
of
you.
fact, we will, after the story runs, and we'll talk about the website, but then when we post the story, we have a link.
Great.
People say, for more information,
Right.
when they click,
Right.
it'll be right to your website.
Because we can watch our traffic on our website and other places.
At the risk of stating the obvious,
Yeah.
it's so important what you're
Yeah.
doing in these
Yeah.
really uncertain times. Wow.
Well, I think one of the things that our colleague has on our wall is we don't have to do this, we get to do this. And I think, you know, our team generally feels pretty grateful for the opportunity to do this.
So true. Wow. Just remarkable.
We recruit volunteers just like we recruit for funds or for food. So we work with pretty much every major corporation volunteers. You can see the colored shirts.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about our work is we get folks that want to bring an entire team in. We have volunteer shifts 9 to 12, 1 to 4, and 4 to 7.
Now this is a Wednesday
6 days a
when
week.
we're visiting you. Is this a scene that we will see how many days a week as far as
We do 6 days a week.
and it's this busy all the time?
Yeah, some shifts less, you know, Friday afternoon's a tough shift, but most of, you know, so this is Franklin Street Capitol. I'm not sure who they are, but these are, they'll put a team together,
Yeah.
say, hey, we want to come volunteer. And the nice thing about our work is it's a team building opportunity for them.
Yeah. I think we saw, is there a team from Amazon here?
I don't know, there could be. Hi, how are you? I'll see who these guys in orange are. Yeah. So this is Amazon, I see the smile.
What are the hours of operation here with the volunteers?
So volunteers are here between 9 a.m. and about 7 p.m.
Okay.
Right. We do it in shifts. 3 hours usually is, you know, a good shift for a volunteer. So I see they are, so this is always fun. So we're packing for a particular kind of distribution. So you can see, hi, I work here, it's okay. So you can see we're trying to get a wide variety of good produce because these again are all items that families don't necessarily, families will not buy healthy food if it's expensive. They will tend to buy more food that is less expensive, right, that's unhealthy. So we focus on this. But the other thing you notice about this, I'm supposed to have gloves on, is that a lot of the produce we get, this is produce that is perfectly good but won't sell in the retail market because nobody's going to buy a cucumber that big.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Right, because it's just not, you're going to look at it and go, well, that doesn't seem right, it's that large.
Yeah.
So we focus on getting items like that that are wonderfully healthy,
Wow.
right, that otherwise I hope you're not wanted because you're going to be on TV. So if someone's after you, they're going to know where you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So
Right?
everybody.
Yeah, so they create a production line.
We got cukes,
Yeah.
corn, and looks like eggplant.
And
huh?
tomatoes.
And tomatoes. Yeah. Wow.
And these are all good, healthy things. And I can't emphasize enough how the families we serve, one of the first compromises they will make is healthy food. Because if you think about your own, when you travel around the outer ring of a grocery store, that's the most expensive. And so families will skip that and they will buy items that are less expensive because they can stretch their dollar further. Part of our objective is we want 80% of our food that we distribute to be healthy, right? And this is a great example of how we do that. And again, look at how great it is that we have all these folks helping us.
And then these will be packed off and
This will be on someone's table, right? Because all the produce we have, as you can imagine, just like you at home, you got to get it on the table quick.
That's you do. Yes,
Right?
You do.
So you've got any questions? This is all just stuff that's going to be.
Yeah, so all of the food you see in this warehouse, the one next door, and we actually have a warehouse across the street, all of this space we rent, which is one of the reasons why we're building. But all of this food rotates about every 2.5 weeks. It goes that fast.
So tell me again, I want to do the comparison. The square footage.
Do you want to get
here-
ahead or behind? Okay.
The square footage.
Square foot here.
And in
The new
place?
facility is about 215,000
Oh my
square
gosh.
foot.
Oh my
But the
gosh.
difference is, with warehousing, you don't want to go wide, you want to go tall,
Yeah.
right? So our new racks will be 5 or 6 racks high. So this ceiling height, so it's not even just the square footage,
Yeah.
we'll actually triple our capacity with less square footage because we can go much higher.
Wow.
The other thing about our work is, as I mentioned, 75 to 80% of the food we recover and move is perishable.
Yeah.
Only 14% of our storage is. So these are just the cooler and freezer units. We will have 10 times the cooler and freezer space that we have today.
I see a lot of these volunteers like, I mean.
These are all working folks.
Okay. But
If you're on a piece of equipment, you work here.
that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, because forklift operator, that's a learned skill.
It is, and the gentleman you see over there, Charles, with the yellow t-shirt, that's actually a gentleman that has come through our workforce training program. So we offer workforce training where we provide full certification over a 10 or 12 week course for culinary arts, warehouse logistics, and Class B CDL. So part of our objective is moving people back into long-term capability, good jobs. So somebody like Charles, we love so much coming out of his training program, we grabbed him. I think he's been with us about 3 years, but he's a good example of someone that probably didn't have an easy pathway back to a job. He had had some challenges in his life. We put him through our job training program, we hired him, and he's a terrific colleague.
And where is he? Now, which fellow is he
Charles.
in the organization? It's to give them enough of an idea of
That they get
the things
interested.
you do that,
Yeah, that they get interested in it, yeah.
because otherwise we'd
Yeah.
need 10 hours.
Well, I don't know, does the long form really exist in your work anymore, in your world? Do people pay attention to the long
Well,
form?
that's what they say. People don't listen. People are used to 30-second sound bites. That's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation, you know.
Well, I think, yeah, again, we're similar vintage. I grew up, I often tell people, ask experience with my mother, right, in 73. And I remember how important TV was to that, how important, much more about how we all responded to Nixon, right?
Oh yeah.
And, you know, obviously the reporters in the Washington Post were held up as having done crucial.
All right, so we just slide the tags in here so that we can identify it, and the people that. Oops, sorry. Okay. Now, what else I was doing was, I'm over here. So what I do is I get the order and then I fill the order and put the tag on it so that the driver will know what to pick up and take with him when he takes the order out. Okay, so that's that. Of course, we always wear the jacket when we go in the freezer. Good for you, or would you like something else?
Can you do?
Watch your feet, please. Okay.
Sorry.
What's up, partner? What's up, Reg? Khalil? This is what we call warehouse 2 over here. We store a lot of product so that it's ready to be distributed and the drivers come over here and pick it up by tag. As you'll notice, there's more HCC product right here. Watch yourself on the racks right
Yeah, he's excellent. You can just zip by me there.
Just scribbling.
Oh,
Oh, it's a video.
no smiling?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Act natural.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is. Good, we're good. Mark that.
Protein powder.